Hello, my name is Paul Angelo. I am a Senior Director with the Advisory Services Program, and I'm joined by Alan Razak. Hi, Alan. Please tell me a little bit about what you do and your expertise.
Sure. I am an architect by training, although I haven't practiced in several decades. I'm a real estate developer, real estate consultant. I'm the principal in a firm called Athenian Razak in Philadelphia. We are a company that does real estate development for ourselves and also fee development for clients. We do a lot of real estate consulting, particularly strategic real estate planning. And we're also property managers that handle receiverships and distressed properties. And I've been doing that for about 40 years.
Wonderful. And about how many panels have you been on?
I've been on exactly 8 panels, which have been all over the place, both geographically and in terms of subject matter, over a period of about 5 years, 5 to 6 years.
And why do you serve on the panels, or why do you say yes to our asks?
Well, one answer to that is because, it's I'm a man, so I don't know what childbirth feels like, but, women always say that they forget what childbirth's like, otherwise they would never do it again. It's a little bit like that. You forget how painful they are. They're incredibly rewarding. And I have been able to meet people and make friends with colleagues in the industry that I would not have met in any other way, and to work closely with extraordinarily talented people who are so smart and so good at what they do. And collaborating with people like that in that kind of intensive environment is one of the most rewarding things I've done in my entire career, let alone a new ULI.
And do you have a favorite or memorable panel on the 8 panels that you've been on?
I loved them all. They were all very different from each other. They have been, some of them were so wide-ranging, we never thought we'd get our arms around them. And some of them were refreshingly specific, project-oriented things. I think probably my last one is in some ways most memorable. I'm not sure if it's my favorite. I love all my children equally, Paul. But the last one I did was in Indianapolis last year, and it was dealing with a failed shopping center site and some surrounding properties, about 18 properties surrounding it. My recollection is it was something like 18 acres. It's a very large site. And it was next to a very nice historical community called Irvington. And the community, the shopping center really was in Irvington or on the edge of Irvington, and represented an enormous potential to expand the neighborhood and reknit that failed shopping center back into the fabric of the city. The panel was really amazing, and we came together and created an actual plan for that set of properties that I'm extremely proud of and hope to see implemented. I think also in some ways it was exemplary of the panel process itself. We came in on Sunday night and looked at the problem and said, I think this is probably doable. I think we can come up with this. This doesn't seem too difficult. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning on Thursday night, Thursday, or actually Friday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, we are tearing our hair out trying to put the finishing touches on the panel presentation that we have to do at 9 o'clock that morning. Having just barely made it to the place where we thought we had a good solution that we could feel proud to present to the community. We made it, but it was touch and go, and all panels kind of feel that way.
How do you think the community responded to your recommendations?
At the time, very enthusiastically. The room was packed. In fact, there were people flowing out of it was a relatively small room, but there were a lot of people there. They were very receptive to our message. I think they were so happy to have a comprehensive and coherent plan for this property that had been declining in quality and becoming really an eyesore over a period of a number of years, that they were anxious to see something happen there and to see a plan that was thought out, that was more of an extension of what the Irvington community already was, and was clearly going to be a benefit both to Irvington and to the rest of the surrounding community. They were very enthusiastic about the results, and quite complimentary to us as well.
That's always a good presentation then when that happens. Is there anything that happened since then? I know you were asking, you're thinking about that you wanted to see this be implemented. What's happened since the panel?
Well, we have been contacted actually just recently by a consultant that's been engaged by the city to relook at the property and to figure out an implementation plan. I think stemming from a developer who expressed interest in redeveloping it, not according to our plan, but according to their own, which was more retail oriented than ours. And so that's prompted a response from the city to say, well, maybe we ought to dust off the ULI report and see how we can make this happen. Our recommendation there was a little bit unusual in that we recommended the city do the property acquisition and to do the horizontal development itself, put in the streets and the curbs and the gutters and the infrastructure, sewer infrastructure, utility infrastructure itself, and then plat the properties and sell them off to either in singles or in groups to individual developers, builders, so that it would build more like a traditional city in kind of an incremental fashion rather than having one group come in and just do it all at once, which was probably too big a lift to do that. And we thought it was important to create a community that was grown organically in the same way that the original Irvington community had grown. So that's where that stands as far as we know.
Well, we really hope that it gets implemented. And do you have any final thoughts about the Irvington project in that panel experience?
I think in terms of process, the beauty of the panel experience is that it brings people together with disparate backgrounds and different expertises, all of which are pertinent to the particular problem. And that really came to the fore in the Irvington project because we had two developers, on myself and another one, with a lot of experience in doing urban development. We had people with public policy expertise, which was extremely important here because part of our goal was to describe to the city how they could come up with the finances to do the development that we were projecting. And as it turns out, we came up with a mechanism using tax increment financing that would not just pay for the improvements, but actually yield additional money for the city that they could use perhaps to endow continuing upkeep of the property that they were going to be creating. So that synergy between the panelists is really important. ULI does a great job of curating the panels so that they've got the proper expertise for each one. And that's been the case in every one of the panels I've been on. As I said, the people are incredibly talented, but they're all talented in different disciplines, which are pertinent to the project.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Alan.
You're welcome. My pleasure.